Hello friends, welcome to my channel and welcome to my top 10. My name is Skyline and today we are going to be talking about the top 10 upcoming free-to-play games that you probably haven't heard of. Now, honestly, I'm not shading any of these games, it's just that they all focus on a niche, so it's completely unsurprising that they haven't blown out in popularity. They're all pretty weird, they all focus on a very specific type of gamer with their very specific type of games. But saying that, I know that they're good, I know that they're fun, I like playing them, I have played every single one on this list. You could probably find my first impressions somewhere on the internet, and I definitely think they deserve a little bit more attention than what they're getting. So I'm hoping this video gets some eyeballs in their direction. Hopefully you guys find the games to be intriguing enough to try them out. If you can, soon or later, whenever, just give these games a chance. Guys, I did, and I had fun. I don't regret it, and I'm hoping that maybe it'll be the same for you guys too. And starting our list, we have a game called Forza Horizon Apex. This is a free-to-play racing game by Microsoft Studios. Check it out, it's gonna be on the Windows Store, guys. You gotta get that in the Windows Store. And don't worry, Windows Store overall is being updated. It's being handled very well, especially from back in the gigantic days or when Killer Instinct first came out. They also have Halo Forge Hub coming out pretty soon here. So a lot of really cool free-to-play games coming out and AAA games coming out. And especially if you've heard the announcement that a lot of Xbox games are coming to PC through the Windows Store. Really exciting times for Microsoft. And these games are no joke. They are not knockoffs and they are not unpolished. The Windows Store as a whole and every game inside of it has been seriously really cool. It's very refreshing, and specifically with Forza Horizon, even though the whole series is kind of a console seller for Xbox, they took this leap, entered the free-to-play racing market, which honestly was kind of filled with a bunch of shit games, and they entered with what could have been just a mediocre game, and they put forth their best foot, and it looks like a really great game. And it's one of the great starting additions to the Windows Store, and I'm so excited to see what Microsoft has in store for us coming next year. Next up, let's talk about Unreal Tournament. Now, in a lot of top 10s, I definitely try to mention Unreal Tournament because seriously, more people need to play it. But honestly, the arena shooter genre as a whole doesn't have too many people playing it because it is very particular and it takes a whole lot of time investment and it just it needs a lot of people to really exist. And otherwise, you're just playing with the hardcore players and you're just gonna get constantly destroyed. You're not really learning that way, you're not really having fun, but Unreal Tournament is a little bit different. One, because it's actually free to play where a lot of other arena shooters, even Quake Live, stopped being free to play. You're not free to play anymore. Now there's a couple that might switch to free to play. Heard Toxic might have a free to play version, but Unreal Tournament is free, plus it has community tools so that you can actually create fun little mini games and stuff like that. So you can jump into Unreal Tournament and actually kind of not play Unreal Tournament. You can go play some other random custom game or something like that, but Unreal Tournament as a whole, it's a really cool game. And if you do want to focus on that particular hardcore competitive, actual tournament sort of gameplay, you absolutely will have that with the backing of Epic Games. So Unreal Tournament is pretty freaking good. Next up on the list, we have a game called Revelation Online. Now, if you do specifically play MMOs, then you probably have heard about this game coming out because there's a little bit of hype train kind of starting to roll with this. However, at the same time, there's a lot of people that don't know about this game because it's just kind of out there. It's Eastern influence, so especially if you're in the West like me, then maybe you're kind of, hesitant about this game or just you don't really fly in those circles so you don't know about it. But Revelation Online is going to be an Eastern-inspired game. It's very wushu, kind of, in a way. Like, it's very kung fu. It's going to be kind of bleeding soulish, and especially the way it looks. It's like anime inspired, but at the same time, it's like very much more so kind of focused. Like the percentage is like 70% realistic and maybe 30% cartoon. But I feel like it's kind of this weird mixture and merger of Western philosophies and not just art style, and also Eastern mechanics and culture. And it kind of in the end blends to be like a Terra game, but like much faster paced. A lot of really cool Western action RPG concepts being thrown in with a lot of Eastern art style and graphics and aesthetics. Could it work? Who knows? Let's find out when it goes gold. Next up, we have a game called Crossout, which offers a little bit of customization, but a whole lot of impact versus the huge amount of customization that we have in RoboCraft and the no amount of customization that we have in games like Twisted Metal, Vigilante 8, stuff like that. So it kind of harkens back to those days, but still gives you just a little bit extra customization. Now the customization is decent. I very much like it. You don't need the block by block customization that RoboCraft has. That's what RoboCraft does. This game gives you a little bit more explosivity, a little bit more with physics and stuff like that. However, of course, you're gonna miss out on, giant robot legs and jumping spider healing tank things, but Crossout is a little bit more down to earth, a little bit more grounded, but still being just kind of insane and awesome in its own way. Definitely an aesthetic that very much reminds me of Twisted Metal, so if you liked games like that, but want a little bit of customization and in a free-to-play game, then yeah, you're gonna want to play Crossout. Number 6 is Gigantic. Now, I think a lot of people were hyped for this game, but then kind of forgot about it, so I'm actually unsure if the general public knows about Gigantic or not, but I'm pretty sure that if they did, then they probably forgot about it. Gigantic Gigantic is a good game, and it's probably going to become a great game with all this time and support that they're getting. And now that they're partnered with Perfect World, it's not just relegated to the Windows Store. It is still apparently going to Xbox One, which is really nice, and it's also going to be purchasable and playable through the Arc Store. A lot of people don't like the Windows Store, even though it's getting better, so that's pretty good. Just a quick recap for those who have forgotten what Gigantic is. It's essentially like a MOBA, but take away the towers, make the towers monsters, and then instead of just lanes, it's more like one lane. You have these, of course, giant bosses that actually push down the lanes and do all this crazy stuff. It's like raid bosses, man. And the general aesthetic is extremely cartoon and fast-paced. It's almost like if Overwatch was really more focused to be a MOBA and a third-person shooter, and that's really what is Gigantic. It's completely frantic and fun, really awesome customization, very Heroes of the Storm-inspired customization with abilities and leveling, but the overall pace and the game feel is just unmatched so far, especially in third-person shooters, especially in MOBAs. I know we got third-person shooter MOBAs kind of like Smite and Paragon, but trust me guys, Gigantic is a whole nother beast. Halfway through the list, let's talk about Ember Strike. Now this is a genre that I never play. This is a puzzle fighter thing. However, the game is actually kind of mechanical in ways. You have to have reflexes, like whenever you do big combos, you get these points and use these points in order to use ultimate abilities, but it's not just any one character ultimate ability. You have multiple characters that you have to mix and match, so you gotta actually have strategy with making your team. And then whenever you're mechanically solving the puzzles, you have to quickly react to enemies like shooting at you and you shooting at them, so it's a puzzle fighter in the truest sense. And this is really flying under the radar, like completely, probably because of the type of genre that it is, but it's a really good game even on PC. I did my first impression, I was completely blown away. I was ready to just shit on the game, and honestly, I was really fantastically surprised that it didn't seem pay to win. All the characters seem really fun and original, the colors, the polish, and even though it's a genre I never play, this game made me want to play it. Let's get some more peepers over in that game, checking it out, and giving it some more good reviews. Coming in at number 4, we have a game called Fractured Space, which gained a little bit of traction during a time when a lot of space games are coming out. And I think a lot of people were uncomfortable with the type of gameplay that it was. They were introduced to it in an awkward way, I think very probably. You have games like Star Conflict, which is like a dogfighting game in space, and then you have games like Dreadnought on the Horizon, which I just played, which is actually kind of similar to Fractured Space, but a little bit faster paced, smaller maps, stuff like that. And then you had like these space MOBAs, which really didn't work out, and then you have Fractured Space, which in my opinion is essentially World of Tanks in space. Like if there was World of Spaceships, this would be that game. Now this is a game I'll have to admit that I don't have too much time with, but at the same time it requires a lot of time to really get into it, and I think that's the niche it's really focusing on. If people who like to be strategic and tactical with their teams and building and customizing their different compositions with their teams and the composition of their actual spaceship, and then jumping into the game, and a lot of people who want to have mechanical dogfighters are gonna go play other games like War Thunder or Star Conflict, but for the crowd that this game is aiming for, I think it's ideal. Here's a game that I think a lot of people feel very strange about. See, Atlas Reactor was gonna be free to play, and I actually did a first impression on free MMO Station about this game, and I was kind of, interested about it. But then it went buy to play, and I did a first impression over at Attack Gaming, and as I reviewed it as a buy to play game, really wasn't that enthralled. But now there is a free to play version to get introduced into the game, and then they have these sort of buy to play packages, which is actually very reminiscent of how Paragon is working and how Smite works. So I think that's probably the best way to do the game. It should definitely be free to play. But with that flip-flopping and just the way the game has been advertised, it kind of started flying under the radar. People started forgetting about it, and it just kind of lost the spotlight, which it barely had in the first place. So this is a tactics game, but instead of controlling a crowd, a group, a party, it kind of works like a turn-based MOBA. That's essentially what it is. The arenas are extremely small. There's not really any objectives. It's straight up like team deathmatch, but it's a tactics game in the truest sense. Every character, it works in turns, and they have this weird phase system, but in the end, I think it's gonna garner a very hardcore crowd. If you kind of like the concept of MOBAs, but you really like tactics games, and you always wanted to play like an online tactics game with a party, then really this is the only game that fills that niche. And it actually looks really good. At number 2, we have a game called Orcs Must Die Unchained. This is a pseudo MOBA type of game. Now, it's very inspired from its predecessors, obviously, but it's mechanically different, absolutely, aesthetically, and there's a lot of the mechanics like placing traps and just how you control your character as a third-person shooter, that all works, right? But instead of it being PvE focused, kind of like Dungeon Defenders, it's like Dungeon Defenders PvP, in a sense that you're actually setting traps down these different hallways, and I guess you can call them lanes almost, because it's kind of MOBA-ish, and then you can actually summon different creeps. The creeps don't just naturally come out, you actually pick and choose which creeps that you want to spawn as a player on a team, so you have all these creeps going down these different lanes, and you have all these traps that you yourself are customizing, and you build your own card deck so that you have your own unique set of traps, and you have your own team composition with different characters and different abilities. So it's like a MOBA, but it's like if Dungeon Defenders, or I don't know, if Orcs Must Die was a MOBA. So I think that there's a little bit of disconnect with the original players of the original franchise, but at the same time, even though there's that disconnect and it's been flying under the radar, I think it's a really cool game in its own unique right. Now the final game that I want to talk about is a game called Snow. Now there is actually a couple of games coming out in the distance games that are directly going to compete with Snow, but personally, I really think I'm going to be the one appreciating and loving Snow. Snow, as a free-to-play game, even right now in its early access state, is completely enjoyable, and it will offer you hours of entertainment. Now, the game is trying to focus on realism, but it's still going to put you at the very top of some really ridiculous mountains, and you're going to go on some really ridiculous jumps, and it's going to feel amazing. Now, what's really cool about Snow is that eventually we're going to get different snow sports included in there. Like, snowboarding, yeah, it's not just going to be skiing. We can also customize our different downhill areas. Like, you can put ramps and stuff, kind of make your own park, and really get that MMO experience, because yeah, this is actually an open world game. You're actually in open worlds, and you're doing these open lobbies, and you're actually doing these open events and stuff. So really excited to see where this game goes. But even if you play right now, it's unfinished, and yeah, there's bugs, but still, it's actually a really cool game, and I definitely already poured hours into it. So wanted to mention that, and this is actually the game that got me to even make this list. And that's the end, friends. Yeah, the top 10's over, so I guess you can leave now. I just want to say a word to the developers of games like this and these specific games. It's like, I really appreciate what you do, guys. I know not the mass market is not going to love it, maybe, potentially. Most people might not, but you're focusing on a niche. You're trying to do something just a little bit original, maybe something that's out of your comfort zone, or really out of the comfort zone of everybody, and just trying to experience something new. You know, you yourselves are trying to develop something new, and consumers get to experience something new and weird, maybe, or different, and it's not for everybody, but that's kind of what makes them good at the same time, and I appreciate it. Me personally. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm a dungeon diver when it comes to weird niches in the gaming market. I like to dive in there deep and then find the treasure. And guys, I think that these games are the treasures. I'm sure there's some more out there. Please tell me what treasure you have found in the depths of the internets and share it with us, please. Thanks so much for watching. I'm Skylent, and if you want to keep finding treasure with me, then like and subscribe. I'm here every day, and I'll see you, hopefully, again next time.